Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the assembled devotees. Today is the sacred appearance day of our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya for the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, our eternal master. We're very grateful today to celebrate this holy celebration so that we can try in our small way to give back to him for what he has given us. He has given us everything. He has given us our life, practically speaking. He's given us our life. Without him, our lives would have no meaning. So we want to thank him today from the bottom of our heart. We want to appreciate him, and we want to honor him. And how can we honor him? We can honor him by not changing anything that he gave us, by taking all of it as treasures to be kept close to our heart, close to everyone's heart, close to this world's heart, actually. So many years have passed since our master left this world, over 50 years. And we've seen nothing but fighting, disagreements, and very much the same thing happened at the time that his spiritual master left this world. Although he told them clearly, don't anyone try to become Acharya, go on with your service, and whoever is meant to become Acharya will come out automatically in time. Srila Prabhupada told us the same thing. He told us everything the same that his spiritual master told him. He taught exactly according to what his Srila Prabhupada taught. And it's our duty to teach according to what our Srila Prabhupada has taught us and not change things. Not change his books, not change his teachings, and not change the mood of his ISKCON. His ISKCON will go on. Many people think not. I think very differently. I know it will go on. It may not look exactly the same for a while, but slowly and surely, as more and more recruits come in from the heavenly spheres, it will be once again, very beautiful. Srila Prabhupada often said, they are lining up, the demigods are lining up to take birth in this movement, to take birth in the Hare Krishna movement of Lord Chaitanya. And the fact is that they are coming in from higher planetary systems already. We see so many beautiful youth, incredible young people that are chanting, and they immediately know if they were connected with Srila Prabhupada, if he's one of the ones that he's called in, they know immediately. They're drawn by his temples. They are drawn by his books. They're drawn by his kirtans. They are drawn by the deities, all the wonderful, the prasadam, all the wonderful things that did not exist over 50 years ago. I grew up at a time when none of these things existed. There were no temples. There was no prasadam. Nobody had heard of such a thing. There were no deities. None of this existed. It's all come in the West. It's all come into being in the last 50 years due to Srila Prabhupada and due to Lord Chaitanya. He sent his Sinipati Bhakta. He sent his chosen commander-in-chief to spread the holy names all over the world. He sent the person that he knew could do it. And Srila Prabhupada went through great austerities, so much austerity, setting up everything in America, coming to America with 40 rupees, which is, you can't spend rupees in America. Essentially, he came with nothing. And he sold a few of his books on the boat and got off the boat with perhaps $20. Not enough to last very long in New York City or Boston. Srila Prabhupada performed many austerities before coming to America in order to establish this movement. We need to appreciate this and not take it upon ourselves thinking that we can change it according to our tastes, our whims. We can't go on doing this. It won't be appreciated by him, and it will not be appreciated by the previous acharyas. He has given us so much. He's given us everything. There is no lack. There's no need for going elsewhere because everything is there. And he said that many times also, that I've given you everything, and I've not cheated you. I've not changed anything. He taught exactly as his spiritual master taught. Of course, he made certain modifications because he was teaching in the West, and he wanted this movement to spread all over the world. He wasn't interested in creating a little India. He was interested in reaching every part of the world, every culture, every nationality with the holy names. That is what Lord Chaitanya's movement is. That is what Lord Chaitanya wanted, that every town and village, not every town and village only in India, not every town and village only in Bengal, but every town and village in the whole world, the whole planet. This is what Srila Prabhupada came to do, and he did it. He did it very successfully. I'd like to say that the painting in the background on the wall is of a dream that I had sometime after he left this world. And in that dream, I saw Srila Prabhupada sitting on a giant lion Vyasa on the curvature of the earth planet with all the nationalities, all the creeds, all the religions, all the colors, all the castes of the world pointing to him, looking to him for help, looking to him for guidance. And Srila Prabhupada was sitting peacefully while the demigods showered flowers. And then, in a zoom lens, just like a zoom goes forward, I hadn't seen it at first, but I saw the word in jewels, written in sparkly jewels. They were so sparkly I didn't see it at first. The word ISKCON. And information was transmitted in that dream that Srila Prabhupada's Vahana, his sitting place, is ISKCON. That's the place where he does his work. He prints his books, he distributes his books all over the world. That is the place, his sitting place. And this sitting place, this ISKCON, the one that is Srila Prabhupada's asana, is eternal. It is going to go on. Contrary to the disparaging comments by some people, it will go on. And it will go on even better because the mini Satya Yuga is coming very soon. It's actually already started, but it's not so evident because the Rakshasas are still in control of the world. But the time will soon come when that won't be the case. Srila Prabhupada used to say, this Hare Krishna movement, they will say in future, this Hare Krishna movement saved the world. And I used to wonder, save the world from what? Because to me, I couldn't see the world as he saw it. He saw Western culture in a very different way. After all, I was only a 20-year-old girl. What did I know? I only know what they taught me in college, which didn't have much value at the time. But Srila Prabhupada could see that the Western civilization would not continue, but that there would be a partial dissolution. And that partial dissolution is what we have already entered into in the last 3 years. In fact, it's becoming more and more evident. One of the things he said was, very soon civilization will collapse all over the world. It will collapse. Either you bring this ism or that ism. And that is what is happening. And people are very troubled. They're very worried. They're frightened. They don't understand what's going on. They don't understand why there's war all over the world, why things are going on in the way that they are, why the insanity that's existing is increasing. But this is a part of the plan for this coming golden age. Srila Prabhupada often talked about this, how there would be no food in your cities, and therefore we should become self-sufficient. We should have farms, and we should take care of cows and have milk, have orchards. My grandparents actually grew up in this way. My mother, who grew up during the Depression, when people were really in difficulty, they saw no difficulty because they had 80 acres of land, they had orchards, they weren't rich, but they had land, they had cows, they had milk, they had vegetables, they had everything that they needed. And 10 kids grew up very successfully, very healthily in that way. And this is what we need to consider. We need to consider our children of the future, those young people that are coming from higher planetary systems, those young people that Prabhupada has called here to help this movement go on. We need to make sure that they have everything they need. We need to make sure that they get the real picture of what Prabhupada wanted his ISKCON to be. He never wanted a Catholic organization with popes and priests and pomp and splendor. What he wanted, pomp and splendor for the deities, yes, but what Srila Prabhupada wanted was a cultural revolution, a cultural movement that would affect the whole world. He wanted art, music, drama, dance troupes, sculptures. The Fate Museum is only a tiny glimpse, as wonderful as it is, of what Srila Prabhupada wanted for his movement. He wanted sculptures. He had the Vaikuntha players. My close friend Rasagya was one of the actresses and dancers in the Vaikuntha players. She told me how wonderful it was traveling with Srila Prabhupada from center to center, temple to temple, performing plays, and Srila Prabhupada loved it. She told me whenever they did the play of Krishna kidnapping Rukmini, her husband Lohitaksha was Krishna, and Rasa was Rukmini, and that Srila Prabhupada was enjoying it so much that he was slapping his knee when Krishna was successful in kidnapping Rukmini. He was laughing and slapping his knee. So this is the kind of mood he wanted. And after the play was over, Srila Prabhupada praised all of the actors. He said all of the actors were great, but Rukmini, she was the best. In this way, he encouraged us. He encouraged us in our artwork, in our music, in our drama. He wanted us to have a cultural movement that would spread all over the world. And that should still happen. But at this point in time, the holy names have spread very well, very nicely, with the help of so many devotees. But the civilization will have to undergo some major changes. And the best thing is for us to get self-sufficient at this time. Srila Prabhupada talked about Varnashram in the last few years of his life. It was so important to him. He wanted Varnashram communities. He wanted self-sufficient communities, not so much focused on being Indian or being a particular. I wanted them to be welcoming and open so that others could see the example of how to live in a simple way, high thinking and simple living. This was his big promotional thing in the last few years of his life. Unfortunately, it has not been carried out very extensively in many places, although there are some places, but we still need more farms, we need more self-sufficient communities. In this way, the movement will continue to spread. So I want to thank you. Today is our Spiritual Master's Appearance Day. I want to appreciate how many devotees there are in the world, often sitting solitarily in their homes, disconnected from the ISKCON that he built, reading his books and praying and chanting, but unable to fit in the badly deformed ISKCON that has come about. The young people can correct this. We need to leave them as much information as possible. All of us who are Srila Prabhupada's disciples, all of us who love him with all of our hearts, should take it upon ourselves to spread his glories and everything that we know about what he wanted his ISKCON to be. That is our last service in this life. In this late hour, we have a great deal of responsibility to leave as much as possible for the young people so that they will be able to redesign his ISKCON more in a way that he had in mind. So today, on this most auspicious day of our Spiritual Master's Appearance Day, I am beginning the transcription of my many diaries that I wrote while I was with Srila Prabhupada in 1967, 68, 69, and then also later too. But these are mostly the ones from the very early days, the early times. I am using them to write my memoir books. My first book is already printed, A Place of Sandalwood and Roses, available from GitaTrust.com. And my second book will be out very soon. It's in the final phase of editing right now. So now my project will become very important, that I'm going to translate these by reading them and recording them, because they're in my shorthand and nobody else can read them. So I want this information to be there for the children of the future, for the many generations of devotees that will be coming in and will want to know everything that they can possibly find out about Srila Prabhupada. This is our most important duty at this time in life. Most of us are leaving very soon. We won't be here. Prabhupada's disciples will all be gone within perhaps another 10 years. Whether or not we'll be able to even work during those next 10 years, that's hard to say. So what I'm trying to do is leave as much information as possible. Srila Prabhupada gave us so much. He gave us so much material. But now our duty is to preserve it. Just like the early Christians, there were some who tried to preserve the original teachings of Jesus Christ. I'm sure you've all heard about the Dead Sea Scrolls, or there was another one too, the Essene Gospel. There were teachings that were the actual teachings of Jesus, and then there were the extremely modified teachings from the Catholic Church, from Constantine, from the political controllers of the day. They usually write the history, as we know. So we can't let the same thing happen. Already, Srila Prabhupada's books have been changed beyond recognition. It's a tragedy. We need to make sure everything, as far as possible, is as it is. As it was when Srila Prabhupada was here, as he gave it to us. Not some whimsical thinking that, oh, I can do better. I know more. My education is more. Oh, his English wasn't so good. My English is so much better. Whatever people may be thinking, Srila Prabhupada didn't want this. He talked about it really a lot. Don't make changes. He didn't even like it if somebody changed the prasadam, changed the recipes. What to speak of changing his books, his most important contribution to the world. So our duty at this time in history, when we only have a few years left to work, we have to try to preserve everything as it is. My tiny effort in this respect is to translate these many diaries that I have, or notes. I was a college student when I joined Srila Prabhupada, and at that time, of course, iPads and computers and cell phones weren't yet available. So we did something called shorthand. We did something called notes. We had notebooks. So since I was from that generation, I wrote down everything Srila Prabhupada said. And my shorthand was so fast that Srila Prabhupada, he had many letters. So many letters would start. In the beginning, there were only a few. But within the year that I was his secretary, from 1967 to 1968, and a little bit into 69, the letters expanded exponentially because the movement expanded exponentially. And so he liked very much that I could write down exactly what he said, just like a tape recorder. In fact, that was why he wanted me to be his secretary, because I could write everything down without changing it. So that's what we have to focus on at this time in history. There's not much time left. We're all in our last lap around the track, you might say. Srila Prabhupada's mission must go on as he created it, not in so many splintered, changed forms as it's becoming. Yes, he wanted us to be innovative. He wanted us to be creative, but he also wanted the main thread of the teachings to remain intact. And the main thread of the teachings are his books. He often said that these books were dictated by Lord Krishna in the wee hours of the morning. And I actually sat behind the curtain on the floor in the kitchen sometimes and listened to him in the early hours of the morning. And I could hear him with turning the dictaphone on and off with a little button. And it did sound like someone was dictating to him. That's what he said, and I believe it. So we have no right to alter these teachings. Prabhupada said it's the principle of Arsha Prayog. Arsha Prayog means whatever the saint has said, it's set in concrete. You can't change it. There may be some small grammatical thing, but nothing more. He did not want that many changes. His books were appreciated by scholars while he was present. Now, his books have been butchered so badly, they are no longer considered authentic, because a classic, a book, cannot be edited posthumously after the author has left this world and be respected as an original. It simply can't be done. The only way it can be done is if the person who edits the book puts their name on the cover and on the title page, along with the date of the edition and the number of the edition. But this hasn't been done. This hasn't been done because instead people think that these are Prabhupada's original books, but they aren't. And the changes, although they are quite a lot at this point, what will they be like in 100 years or 300 years? What will they be like then? Even Shakespeare, whose English is very difficult to understand, those writers or editors who present Shakespeare's teachings always put their name on the cover of the book or on the title page, saying that they have done so. This hasn't been done, so it's unethical. So this problem does exist. We can't perhaps change it in our lifetime, but the young people will understand it, and they will go back to the original books. Unfortunately, BBTI is unwilling, in spite of all the evidence, all of the scholarly evidence, as well as legal evidence. They are unwilling to yield. They are unwilling to stop the editing. They continue to do it even now. So this is a big problem. Our part in this is to simply leave as much as we can. We have tried to deal with them in every way imaginable with BBTI. They're not going to listen. I don't know why. We won't go there. But what we have to do is leave as much information as possible. We have to leave all of the information about Srila Prabhupada's original books in every language, not just in English, but they're changing them in all the other languages too. They're changing them in Arabic. They were changing them in Mexico in the Spanish. They're changing them in German. Yes, it's happening as we speak. So this is a very important issue that we must leave for the children. They will clean it up by going back to the originals. And we have to give them as many memoirs as we can possibly give them. This is why it's important to go into Srila Prabhupada's temples, in spite of the ugly politics, in spite of the criticism, in spite of the fact that many of them don't care about Srila Prabhupada's disciples. It's important for the young people. There may be only one person in a class that hears what you have to say, but that one person will be important in the future. I've seen this, actually, by going to programs, by going to Sadhu Sanghas, by going to all of these places that many of my godbrothers won't even go to. There may be one or two people that understand, and those 2 people or 3 people, they will make the change in the future. So our job at this time in our life is to leave as much as we can, and that is why I am now going to translate all of these diaries. It's a big job. I can hardly read my shorthand either, but anyway, I've got to try to do it. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.